Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Holden and Claire put Audra's back as a target. After arguing with Kyle Abbott over Audra Charles, Claire Newman goes to Holden Novak. When Nepo baby Kyle realizes he made a huge mistake by telling Claire he wants to marry her, all of the emotional carnage occurs. Claire on the rocks. Kyle is frantically trying to convince Claire that he wants her rather than Audra. He thus invites the family jeweler to visit, chooses a piece of jewelry, and envisions living a happy life for the rest of his days. Except that Claire preferred to take her time mending their relationship rather than jumping into marriage. She stops the cad in his tracks, correctly assuming that his guilty conscience is at work. Prior to the proposal, Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott attempted to persuade Kyle to slow his roll, but Romeo refused to listen. He and Claire wouldn't be at odds if he had followed their advice. Rather, Claire goes to Holden for assistance as Kyle is devastated. Claire and Holden have always been each other's pity party friends, and this time is no exception. Holden comforted Claire after her father passed away while Kyle and Audra were away in Nice. When Claire sees Holden, she becomes enraged and does not contain her hate for Audra. Does the show seem to be encouraging Holden to get together? It certainly does for us. They will concentrate on this moving forward because they both had traumatic pasts with Audra. Don't claim we didn't warn you, though, if a little romance does break out. Fans will witness Holden and Claire discussing their shared enemy in the September 3rd episode. Audra has enemies in her buckets. Through her thick, glossy lashes, they move on to forge an alliance that Audra won't notice. Do you want Holden and Claire to consider a romantic relationship? Tell us, why and our lovers? Claire is the target of Victor's new plan. Audra was bribed to end Kyle's romance. Victor has insisted that Claire and Michael Meala's character, Kyle Abbott, end their relationship. Naturally, neither of them wishes to break up. They actually wish to live together and come closer to being married. Victor will not permit that to take place. Despite her love for her grandfather, Claire does not let him control her life. In order to keep Kyle happy, she doesn't want to end their relationship because she loves him. With the help of her mother, Victoria Newman, Claire makes the decision to confront Victor and inform him that she will not back down from Kyle. Victor and Claire's startling conversation. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Claire meets with Victor to discuss his demand for a breakup. She informs him that she does not intend to break up with Kyle. She essentially tells her grandfather that he needs to stop hating Kyle. Victor was surprisingly receptive to the news. He even hinted that he hopes Kyle makes her happy and that he is delighted for her. Given that the audience is aware that Victor is still covertly planning their breakup, it was strange. Claire felt good about Victor after their conversation. It was her hope that her grandfather would not meddle with her life. As everyone knows, there is virtually no possibility that Victor won't pry into her affairs. However, we'll give Claire this little victory if she's content right now. Victor's startling offer to Audra. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Victor finds out that Audra Charles and Nate Hastings, Jr. are no longer together. He presents an irresistible offer to Audra. If the vixen can permanently separate Kyle and Claire, he offers her a bag full of money. Audra needs Kyle to cross the line so severely that Claire will despise him in order to obtain the riches. Audra is aware of this task and takes his offer into consideration. She's running out of alternatives and needs the money. She might have to accept Victor's offer in order to save the squad. Violent will be essentially dead if she doesn't. She is determined not to give up on her fledgling business. The latest Genoa City saga takes an electrifying turn as the tangled web between Kyle Abbott, Claire Newman, Holden Novak, and Audra Charles tightens into a dramatic chokehold, and the fallout is nothing short of explosive. After Kyle, the self-proclaimed Abbott heir and forever Nepo baby, makes the rash decision to propose marriage to Claire in a misguided attempt to patch their fractured romance, the entire house of cards comes tumbling down, shattering illusions of trust, loyalty, and love in the process. Kyle, riddled with guilt over his lingering emotional entanglement with Audra, invites the family jeweler to the Abbott mansion in a desperate bid to sweep Claire off her feet with diamonds and promises of forever, only to find that Claire, sharp, cautious, and far too perceptive for his fast-talking charm, sees straight through the charade. Instead of feeling cherished, she feels manipulated, and instead of embracing his grand gesture, she halts him cold in his tracks, suspecting, correctly, that Kyle's guilty conscience is driving the sudden push for marriage more than genuine devotion. Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott, wise from years of romantic disasters, tried warning Kyle beforehand to slow his roll, to let his love with Claire breathe rather than suffocate under impulsive declarations, but true to his Abbott stubbornness, Kyle refused to listen. Now, Claire, hurt but not broken, turns away from Kyle's desperate pleas and instead seeks comfort in the arms of Holden Novak, the one constant friend who has always shown up when the world turned against her. Their bond stretches back years, strengthened in sorrow when Holden comforted Claire after her father's death, a time when Kyle was jet-setting with Audra in Nice, indulging in pleasures while Claire nursed her wounds alone. The pattern is clear, and Claire's heart can no longer ignore it. When the chips are down, Kyle runs with Audra, but Holden stays. Their reunion is raw, filled with emotion, and Claire cannot help but unleash her pent-up fury at Audra, the woman who continues to haunt her life like an unshakable ghost. Holden, who knows all too well the trail of damage Audra leaves behind, doesn't try to calm her rage, he shares it, stokes it, and before long the two find themselves forming a pact, not just of mutual support, but of calculated revenge. If Kyle insists on keeping Audra on the fringes of their lives, then Holden and Claire will make sure Audra feels the full weight of their wrath. Call it fate or poetic justice, but every sign screams that the show is nudging Holden and Claire, Colden, as the fans have begun to dub them, toward something deeper than friendship, toward romance born not of roses and candlelight, but of shared scars and a mutual enemy. And if sparks fly along the way, well, who could blame them? After all, two wounded hearts often find solace in each other when the world keeps betraying them. September 3rd promises to deliver a watershed moment, with Holden and Claire sitting across from one another, tears, anger, and determination mingling as they swear to put Audra firmly in their crosshairs, unaware that this alliance will alter the balance of power in Genoa City forever. Yet, Audra herself is no ordinary rival. Her resilience, cunning, and hunger for survival mean she always has cards to play, and the biggest one may be the most dangerous yet, courtesy of Victor Newman himself. For while Holden and Claire plot her downfall in secrecy, Victor has already made his move, pulling Audra into his own manipulative game by dangling a tantalizing offer of wealth in exchange for destroying Kyle and Claire's relationship once and for all. Victor, who has made no secret of his disapproval of Kyle as a match for his granddaughter, first confronted Claire directly, ordering her to cut ties with the Abbott heir. But Claire, steelier than Victor expected, shocked him by refusing. She boldly told her grandfather that she loves Kyle and will not bend to his demands, demanding instead that he accept her choice. And while Victor outwardly softened in the moment, even hinting that he would support her if Kyle made her happy, fans know that the mustache never surrenders so easily. His smile hid a dagger, and the true plot unfolded when he tracked down Audra. Finding her freshly single after her split from Nate Hastings, Jr., Victor extended an irresistible deal, a fortune in exchange for annihilating Kyle and Claire's romance from the inside. For Audra, who faces financial peril and professional ruin if her fledgling business fails, the offer is both salvation and damnation. To collect her prize, she must seduce Kyle back across the line, lure him into betrayal so unforgivable that Claire will walk away for good. Audra knows this is risky, knows Holden and Claire's alliance could complicate her path, but desperation has a way of silencing conscience. And so the stage is set. Kyle, blinded by guilt and confusion, caught between the lingering pull of Audra and the fiery determination of Claire. Claire, torn between trying to salvage her relationship and leaning into the comfort of Holden's steady presence. Holden, loyal yet increasingly captivated by Claire's vulnerability. Audra, fueled by greed and ambition, plotting her most dangerous seduction yet. And Victor, the unseen puppet master, pulling strings and smirking as the drama explodes. Around him, Genoa City thrives on love triangles, but this is no ordinary triangle. It's a combustible square, where every side threatens to collapse under betrayal, revenge, and temptation. The question that now grips fans is not just whether Kyle and Claire can survive, but whether Holden and Claire's alliance will morph into romance, leaving Kyle abandoned and Audra victorious, or whether this unlikely duo will finally give Audra the takedown she so richly deserves. Either way, one truth is undeniable: Audra has enemies in buckets, and Holden and Claire are sharpening their knives. What makes this chapter of Genoa City's ongoing saga so enthralling is how every character's choice carries the weight of history, betrayal, and legacy. Kyle Abbott is a man living in the shadow of his family's name, burdened with the arrogance of privilege and yet painfully insecure when it comes to love. His decision to propose to Claire wasn't born out of romance, but out of fear of losing her to the lingering whispers of Audra Charles, the woman who continues to dangle like a dark cloud over his heart. The truth is, Kyle never truly severed the invisible thread binding him to Audra. Though their affair was messy and destructive, it carried a thrill that Kyle cannot quite replicate with Claire's steady, measured love. Claire, in contrast, has always been cautious, deliberate, and skeptical of quick fixes. She sees through facades, and when she stood before Kyle with the ring sparkling in his trembling hand, she didn't see a future, she saw a cover-up. A guilty man begging for forgiveness with jewelry instead of honesty. And that, more than the betrayal itself, cut her to the bone. This is why she fled to Holden Novak, the one man who has never tried to buy her affection or manipulate her heart with empty promises. Holden has been her safe harbor, the quiet strength she leaned on when the storm raged hardest. When her father passed away, Holden didn't just comfort her, he gave her space to grieve, listened when she needed to scream, and held her when she had no more tears left to shed. He has always been there, in ways Kyle never was, and that history now feels like a prophecy. The moment Claire stormed into Holden's loft, fury blazing in her eyes and venom dripping from her lips as she cursed Audra's name, Holden knew this was more than just another venting session. This was the birth of something new, a war, a bond, maybe even a love story in disguise. Holden didn't try to soothe her rage. Instead, he matched it, his own experiences with Audra fueling the fire. Together, they dissected her manipulations, her endless ambition, the way she used people like disposable pawns. And together, they vowed that Audra would no longer wreak havoc on their lives unchecked. What began as mutual commiseration shifted into an alliance, a quiet, simmering promise to watch Audra fall. The irony, of course, is that while Holden and Claire sharpen their knives in secret, Audra is already plotting her counterstrike. Victor Newman, master manipulator and eternal chess player, has handed her the golden ticket she desperately needed. His offer, a fat stack of money in exchange for tearing Kyle and Claire apart, is too tempting to resist. For Audra, this isn't just business, it's survival. Her venture teeters on the edge of collapse, and without an infusion of cash, she risks losing everything she clawed to build. Taking Victor's offer means risking Claire's wrath, Holden's hatred, and Kyle's trust, but what's the alternative? Bankruptcy? Obscurity? Audra has never been a woman who accepts defeat. She thrives on risk, on pushing boundaries, on weaponizing desire. And so, she steels herself for the dirtiest fight yet, seducing Kyle back across the line, one lingering glance, one whispered temptation at a time. Kyle, for all his protestations of love for Claire, is perilously vulnerable to Audra's charms. He has always been weak where she is concerned. Their chemistry is volatile, destructive, and undeniable. And Audra knows exactly which buttons to press to unravel him. Claire senses this, which is why she cannot let her guard down, why she turns more and more toward Holden for strength. Yet this creates a paradox. The more time she spends with Holden, the more Kyle feels her slipping away, and the more desperate he becomes to prove his love. In this desperation lies his downfall, for desperation is the fertile ground where Audra thrives. The tension builds slowly, like a pot about to boil over. Claire tries to confront Victor, hoping to put an end to his meddling once and for all. She meets her grandfather in his office, her voice steady but her heart pounding, telling him plainly that she refuses to leave Kyle, that his vendetta against the Abbotts cannot dictate her happiness. For a moment, Victor seems almost tender, even blessing her choice with a rare smile. Claire walks away relieved, believing she has won a small victory. But the audience knows better. Victor's smile is the mask of a general who has already launched his next offensive. With Audra in his pocket, Victor doesn't need to push Claire directly anymore. He'll let temptation and betrayal do the work for him. Meanwhile, Holden finds himself wrestling with feelings he never expected. At first, he saw himself as Claire's confidant, her ally in war. But as nights stretch longer and conversations deepen, he begins to feel something more. The way Claire looks at him when she's angry, when she's vulnerable, When she's laughing through tears, it stirs emotions Holden thought he buried long ago. He doesn't act on them, not yet, but the tension hums in the air between them, unspoken yet undeniable. Fans see it, critics see it, and even Claire feels it in moments she refuses to acknowledge. Their bond is changing, and if Kyle doesn't see it soon, he'll lose her for good. Audra, ever the predator, notices too. She catches the glances, the lingering touches, the way Holden hovers near Claire like a silent protector. Instead of discouraging her, it fuels her determination. She thrives on competition, and if Holden wants to step into her arena, she'll crush him too. To her, Claire is an obstacle, Holden is an annoyance, and Kyle is the prize. With him, she secures not only Victor's reward but also a return to the power and privilege she craves. So she plays her cards with precision, appearing vulnerable when Kyle is near, reminding him of the passion they once shared, whispering that Claire will never understand him the way she does. Slowly, insidiously, she plants seeds of doubt. And Kyle, already reeling from Claire's rejection of his proposal, begins to falter. This is where the real carnage begins. Kyle finds himself caught between two worlds, the safety of Claire's love and the danger of Audra's fire. Holden stands as Claire's shield, her constant, the man who grounds her when the chaos threatens to pull her under. And Victor watches from the shadows, amused, knowing that whichever path Kyle takes, someone will be broken. The September 3rd episode becomes a turning point. Holden and Claire, sitting across from each other, map out their strategy against Audra. They speak of her manipulations, her history of destruction, and how to finally expose her for the schemer she is. But beneath the talk of tactics, something else simmers. Holden's gaze lingers too long, Claire's voice softens too much, and for a fleeting moment, the war room feels like a sanctuary where something new could be born. They don't kiss, not yet, but the possibility hangs in the air like electricity before a storm. And perhaps that's even more dangerous than any declaration, because it means the shift has already begun, silently, invisibly, changing everything before anyone even notices. The audience, of course, notices. Fans take to social media, debating whether Holden and Claire are destined to become Genoa City's next power couple. Holden begins trending among die-hard Y&R loyalists, with some cheering for their union and others clinging fiercely to Claire and Kyle's love story. The split in the fan base mirrors the split in the narrative itself, two possible futures, both ripe with drama, both ready to shatter hearts. Yet one truth remains constant: Audra Charles is in the crosshairs. Whether it's Holden and Claire plotting her downfall, Victor using her as a pawn, or Kyle wavering dangerously close to her bed once more, every road leads back to Audra. She is the catalyst, the chaos, the storm that no one can escape. And while she relishes the attention now, the danger for her is very real. Because for all her scheming, Audra has underestimated the one thing that could truly destroy her. Not money, not power, not even Victor Newman's games, but the bond forming between Holden and Claire. For when two wounded souls find each other, when their pain becomes their strength and their friendship their weapon, even the fiercest vixen may find herself outmatched. The story of Holden, Claire, Kyle, and Audra is no longer just about love triangles. It's about survival, legacy, and the lengths people will go to protect their hearts. The next chapters promise betrayal, confrontation, and perhaps even redemption. But one thing is certain: when Holden and Claire put Audra in their sights, they won't miss. The closer Holden and Claire grow, the more Genoa City begins to whisper. Nikki Newman, never one to miss the shifting undercurrents in her granddaughter's life, notices how often Holden's name slips from Claire's lips, how her eyes soften when she mentions him. At first, Nikki chalks it up to friendship, to gratitude for his support during hard times. But Nikki has lived too long, seen too much, to ignore the quiet bloom of something more. She remembers how Victor's schemes once pulled her into the orbit of other men, how confusion between loyalty and desire can devastate an entire family. She worries that Claire may be setting herself up for a heartbreak no Abbott diamond could ever mend. But when Nikki gently raises her concerns, Claire deflects, insisting that Holden is nothing more than a friend. Still, her flushed cheeks and quick change of subject tell another story, one Nikki tucks away for later. Meanwhile, Kyle feels the ground shifting beneath him. The proposal fiasco still haunts his mind. Claire's rejection was like a dagger twisting in his pride. And though he insists to Jack and Diane that he is committed to proving himself, his resolve weakens every time Audra slinks into the room with her sultry smile and whispered insinuations. She plays the game masterfully, never pushing too hard, never demanding outright, but always dangling the possibility of passion rekindled. Kyle tells himself he's immune, that he's loyal to Claire, but the truth is written in his hesitation, in the way his eyes linger on Audra's curves, in the way his breath catches when her hand accidentally brushes his. Holden sees it too. He watches Kyle spiral, and though he tries to stay quiet for Claire's sake, his frustration grows. Holden doesn't trust Kyle to protect Claire's heart. He's seen him stumble too many times, seen him run back to Audra when things get difficult. And Holden knows Audra's type. He's been burned by her games before, and he won't stand by while Claire becomes the next casualty. What started as a pact of revenge now transforms into something more personal. Holden is no longer just protecting Claire from Audra. He's protecting her from Kyle, too. Victor, satisfied with the chaos he has set in motion, keeps his distance but never loosens his grip. He knows Audra will do whatever it takes to secure her payday, and he trusts Kyle's weakness to pave the way. Yet even Victor underestimates the power of Holden and Claire's bond. For while Kyle and Audra dance dangerously close to the fire, Holden and Claire are learning to lean on each other in ways that go beyond strategy or revenge. Each shared look, each whispered conversation in the shadows, builds a foundation that neither expected but both need. And though neither dares to admit it yet, they are falling, for each other, for a chance at something real. The battle lines are drawn. Kyle is torn between two women, Claire is caught between two men, Audra is armed with greed, and Victor is pulling strings from the shadows. Genoa City is primed for an explosion, and when it comes, no one will emerge unscathed.